Here we are, Superbooth with my friend Ruben from Elysia. We've made a video before, and I just always love to hear Ruben's point of view on whatever he's doing, because it always brings so much knowledge to me. So just here to share with you guys. Ruben, what do you have going on here at Superbooth?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much for coming and passing by and doing some videos
Always.
here. It's really cool, nice. Yeah, we have our booth here at Superbooth, and I have a little presentation also for the next day, but I can give you a quick version of this. So the idea is how to process signals from your DAW or from electronic instruments and run it through outboard equipment from us, okay. And then to see what we can do in terms of shaping here.
Well, that's something I love to do. Okay. So we're going to hear like some, what do you have, what is your signal?
Yeah, it's a kick, it's a hi-hat, it's a snare or maybe a clap, and then maybe one or two synthesizers. And what we have here is the chain that I will use. So first we start with the envelope. This is a transient shaper from us. So this is a perfect tool for drum processing, stuff like this. Then followed up by the character. It's a distortion overdrive device, and you can blend it from very subtle distortion up to very extreme stuff. And then it goes to the X filter. It's a stereo EQ to do some EQ shaping, and then followed up by the expressor. It's a very versatile stereo EQ. And I will use different combinations for the sounds. Well, I will also do some extreme settings to see where it's the range of the equipment and maybe give some comments. And yeah, then we see what's going on
And here. That's the order that we're hearing in the chain?
Okay. Exactly. So it's first envelope, then character, then X filter, and then expressor. I will use Ableton for this here. And the workflow is the following. I have a clip with the sound sources, and then I will use an insert plugin. So it's the external instrument plugin. So in this with the plugin, the audio chain is embedded here. Mm-hmm. And then it goes to another new track that I will record this version with the processing going on.
So we'll process some drums and some synth sounds.
Yeah. So, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay,
sure.
Let's start. So we will start with the kick drum. And then I will engage this plugin, and then I do the recording, and with the slide I can later do some kind of comparison. So we hear now the naked kick drum. So we hear it. I'm using now the envelope to change the attack of the kick. Or I can also change sustain.
Ooh, nice.
Or shorten the sustain here, like this. Bypass, like this. And then we go to the next processing tool, it's the character.
Which is analog distortion.
Yeah, analog distortion. And with the color, I can change the characteristic of the low end of this distortion. Or I can even use some more crazy stuff here.
And then you compensate level?
Yeah, this is my output gain. And here's the mix control.
Oh, that's really great. So you have parallel
on board.
Sound going on board. You don't have to separate
Maybe
it.
Do it a little bit here for that kick.
Oh yeah.
Then follow up by the X filter. Some low shelf engaged here. Or reduce this. And I will reduce a little bit of the low mids here. Like this. And that's it. Compression is not needed here for this case. So now we'll track this channel here.
So compression is not needed because it's so consistent. Is that what you're hearing?
So now I've recorded the new version with the process signal. And now I can compare this here. This is a track with processing. This was before. This is within and without. Okay, let's do the next signal, and I will use the snare for this and enable the recording. There it is. So this is snare drum here. And also with the snare, we'll do some envelope shaping here.
Oh.
Super snappy now.
Yeah.
It's way more easier to do it with the envelope rather than to misuse a compressor for this thing here.
So that would be what most people would do.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't, I mean, it's not really common in a chain, the envelope shaper.
Yeah. So in this case, I think it's a perfect solution to have these, from this converted to this.
So it's essentially transient designing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you would make a choice to use a transient designer or a compressor, and also, of course, you could use both.
Yeah.
But you're listening to see which one. You don't automatically go to compression.
Yeah.
But you could achieve a snap with a compressor, which is what a lot of us do. So what's the difference in the end result?
First of all, it's way more easier to have only one control. And the other thing is the compressor has to be some kind of a long attack time to pass through some transient. And then you have to readjust the release and ratio. So it's really...
So you're damaging things that don't need to be, and then you have to compensate. Okay, that's really useful.
So maybe I can try this with the Expressor, but it's a way longer way for doing this.
Got it.
And the other thing is with the envelope, you can also shorten the sustain. And this is what with the compressor is not possible. So this is really the magic of the envelope, but here I'm using it more to make more attack, more snap.
With an expander, could you shorten the sustain?
Not really, because it's threshold based, some kind of a noise gate. So I think that's a more cooler way, because this is independent of the levels. That is a basic concept of the original transient design, and this independent of the input level. You have you can have your settings in a compressor, and also a noise gate is related to the input level and some kind of a threshold.
And is it fair to say that you came up with the SPL transient designer?
Yeah, so I founded this technology back in the day. So yeah, it's based on my experience and work.
This is good information. Okay, so keep flowing.
Okay, so we were on the snare. So let's see if we need some character here. So we can do the opposite. I will do only very little bit of this. And the next is the EQ. I like to boost a little bit of the low end. Something like this. And also a little bit boost of the high mids here without.
Yeah. Like there's tone in there that I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not much. It's about, I don't know, 4 dB of low end. That's really much. It's not needed so much.
But the difference.
Yeah. So I think we're done with this. So I will.
And no compression.
Quick record. I think even here, that's because I'm using the envelope. Right. This is a constant snare. Yeah. There's not some kind of a dynamic you have to reduce or compensate. Right. So that's the reason envelope. Maybe we'll use the Expressor later and some other stuff. So
like bass maybe.
I will do some recording of this.
So because these are analog signal paths, so you need to go back and record it.
So now we got it. And then we can do a comparison of both signals. That's what we have recorded. That was the previous version. Way more punchier snares, so the groove is really doing a good job. So, and I will at least in the next signals, the hi-hats, do a similar way doing here, and to have more precise hi-hats going on. Okay. Here are the hi-hats. Okay, I have to first disengage. So this is the hi-hats going on. I think it's made with some noise generator or something like this. I didn't know because these are waveforms. Here I will use also the envelope first, but in this case not a linked version, more independent because the hi-hats are more stereo-like. So in this case, like this. And here I can also show up the sustain of the hi-hat. You can make it more longer, like this, or even can short this super tight. Oops. That's with the hi-hats. And here I also will use a little bit of the EQing, no character needed. Something like this.
Wow.
Maybe in relationship to the other signals here, what we have done already. So this without processing, that's with.
Yeah, I say wow, but it's a huge difference, but it's subtle.
Yeah.
You know, I like watching you because you're more, you know, you find more nuances with a less knob turn.
Yeah.
I want to get there because I tend to crank knobs, you know.
Yeah, so I have to find the right sweet spot for this signal type.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a quick recording of this and then we have the hi-hats in.
And just know that is another area where you can crank these boxes and they're insane. But this creates beautiful tone to the drum sounds.
Okay, now we got this, and the next is some kind of synth bass going on. In this case, I have used a plugin internally of Ableton, this Collision. I think it's some kind of I don't know, virtual instrument thing going on. I don't know. It's let's see what it sounds like and what we can do with our processing.
Okay. So now it's being sent to the cubes.
So now with some insert. That's how it sounds, the original sound.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to help this out a lot.
So now first we'll change the sustain of this sound. Make it longer in this case.
Feel free to go more drastic on this one. I'd love to see a big comparison difference.
Without. Within. So more low end, but it's not like an EQ. And follow up by character. This signal really needs some kind of distortion. Without. And then follow up by some kind of EQing. And here I will use the high shelf for a high cut. So in this mode, I can also use the gain as some kind of a resonance controller. And now we also will use the expressor now for some final compression going on. That's within. So I will here use a plugin now for the bypass.
Wow.
That was the previous signal.
It sounds like a different instrument.
And now in combination with the other signals, you get an idea what's going.
And I hear the body to the snare now that that wasn't there in the beginning, and a lot of clarity on the hi-hats.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit like this. So, ready, and now we'll do some tracking this.
Now claps.
So this was the previous version, unprocessed signal. And now another signal, at least I think, than for fun. It's even more distortion, I think. is another synthesizer. Here is the operator in Ableton. It's an FM-based synthesizer with 4 operators. So let's use this one here. Oh, no, this one, yeah. Okay, here we go.
So now we're
we're in the game. And this here is interesting because this sound has effects going on with some reverb and delays. So the other signals were more cleaner, processing, and then on top some effects. But here I have the effects and then the processing going on.
So you're processing effects?
Yeah.
Wow, like you can really hear the effect coming through now.
And here it's also a difference to a compressor because there's a frequency control to say, okay, to what kind of frequency you will have that kind of processing. So that's really nice. Okay, let's use characters next.
Some distortion. Wow.
And then as well, the X filter.
Wow, I love those changes.
And also some compression. And in this case, I will do some live recording of some adjustments here to have some fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's do some drums on top of this. That's it. So now we do some comparison between the 5 tracks we have processed already, and then with where we started came from.
Nice movement. Wow.
This was the original.
It's just, it all adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's so much more detail now that I hear.
Yeah.
Which was
So
there already.
Yeah, that's now the final thing now, at least. So we can also process now the full mix here.
The mastering.
The mastering. So let's do this as our final thing. So I go to the master bus here, and then insert also the same thing here.
As quick as that.
Let's use only the X filter. Let's do some nulling here. And some nice compression on top of this here. So a bypass both.
Wow. Then what we thought was great, now that sounds flat.
Yeah.
Compared, every time you do something, it almost seems though like, it does seem, it's not even seem, it's actually bringing out more things that are already in the sound.
Yeah.
Like you're bringing out like almost a X-ray vision where I can enjoy something and even though I'm far away hearing the whole mix, I can still get the up-close experience of each of the instruments. Yeah. It's credible clarity, yeah. It's simple, and it's... Why is it happening? What's going on in these boxes that makes that happen so different from just using a plugin?
That could be
a long video. Too.
Yeah.
Well, don't make a long video, but just there is something going on that I hear.
So make a long story short, I think this is really one thing. We create our own circuitries with discrete design, discrete op amps, discrete VCA. And then the frequency response is wide open, so we have a way more spot on how we do it, and not everything is modeled in plugins and emulated correctly, and that's the reason why it's different. And here with analog, I would compare it, if you put up a makeup gain, like on the compressor or in the X filter, it's like you zoom in with an analog camera, analog zoom, you know, you have more details coming from the back to the front. If you do it on the digital way, it's more like zooming in already, you know, the digital zoom. So you see not more details when it comes up to you. And that's the difference. We hear, let's say the sustain, you bring it up, oh, there's something coming from the back to the front that is audible and clear. And that's because of these analog signal paths.
So there's a big difference between the way you're actually viewing the sound. I know it's Audible's way of viewing. It's like viewing audio.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between digital and analog.
Absolutely, yeah.
I
would compare this like a video camera with a good analog, you know, where you zoom in analog way, or you have a digital picture and then you do a zoom in.
Yeah, and then the way your interface is, you have nice big knobs, they're all the same, and you could just move very quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, I went too far, go back. You're not mousing and hearing, it's like that too.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're getting there. And it's the experience of getting there kind of matters too. Because you just created all that in a flow.
Yeah.
A flow of music.
Absolutely.
And the more that these instruments can keep us in a flow, you know, better music, better life.
Yeah, I mean, the way how I handle it here, it could be, this is now already recorded stuff, we put it in, but you can also do it during the recording. So have some synthesizers, hardware stuff, run it through the stuff, and do then the recording, if you're more experienced with the boxes and the sound that you want. But you can also do it afterwards, and maybe use it in the mastering.
Well, that's what I like. I like turning the knob while I'm playing.
Yeah.
Because it inspires me, and I'll play differently, you know. I play less, I play more.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing those details while I'm doing it, you know. And then you do it after. It's all like different parts of the process. But wow, you really design like these pro audio tools for musicians. And I'm very grateful that you do it. And you do it so elegantly too. They look beautiful and they feel great and they sound really great. I mean, it just comes from my heart. You know, when I first heard these tools, instruments from Ruben, I contacted him just because I liked them. And so in discussions with him about his concepts about how sound is created, how music's created, I've learned a lot about how he built, you know, like technical things. But it came from discussions about, I was thinking, well, why do they sound so good? Why is the music better? Why is the experience better? And I'm just learning more and more about what's going on in the back end. And you really appreciate the dialogue between musicians and engineers and creators and songwriters too. You know, because the dialogue with you're a maker of these tools, and you're a musician too, so it all kind of makes sense.
And also with this, being a musician, you came up with ideas. So we have here the Expecto, so there's an upcoming headphone amp, and it's really coming from recording situations where you provide an artist or a vocalist with a proper monitor signal. So there's an inbuilt stereo mixer for two stereo signals. So one the playback and the other is...
Let's take just a quick look here. Because we're actually monitoring through this, and it's like how we have a Qube mix and we stuck our headphones in, but this is way more advanced.
Yeah, so you have one side more for the producer side, we say. So there's the output level. You have two mixers, the DLW and a direct signal. This is a trim to adjust a little bit the level in general for the headphone. And this is a mode that's very interesting. You can select easily from stereo to mono to side to only left to only right. So it's a little bit of what you see on monitor controllers. And on the other side, this is for the artist. So we have his own stereo mixer here, its own output level, but also an equalizer. So if the headphone from the artist is different, or maybe the artist want to have some kind of a more bass or highs in the yeah, you can adjust it immediately. And this is the typical situation when you have a producer and the artist in the same room, and the artist, oh, can you give me a little bit more of my vocal sound? Okay, what do I have to do? I have to go back, go to the session and adjust something here. But here it's directly. And also, when you have an external preamp going first into that device and then to your interface, you have a super low latency or zero latency monitor signal pass. And even for the keyboard guys, it's also cool to have it running through. And if you're playing, if you want to play to playback, and the level's really important, you adjust in a minute or in a second here.
And I like just inspiring the vocalist. I mean, that's the main thing you listen to anyway. So, wow, thank you again, Ruben Tilna, Elysia. He brings so much to the channel every time we bring him on. What I just learned again, probably the main thing, stay in the flow, better music, better life.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Until next time.
Okay, nice.
Superbooth 2024. This is an amazing event. Come to it if you ever have an opportunity.